All right, I'm just using Zoom for this video because for some reason it uploads much faster to YouTube, and I can mess around with these cool visuals like this mustache beard thing and these wonky eyebrows. I have big eyebrows, but they're not that color. But anyways, so one of the supposed key witnesses against Julian Assange, again, the only reason he's being persecuted by the U.S. empire is because he has exposed the crimes of the U.S. empire along with other governments across the world, and he has already paid such a tremendous cost for that. And again, anybody that isn't on the side of Julian Assange in this case is just like, literally, what the fuck are you doing? What are you thinking if you're not speaking up for Julian Assange and the amazing things that him and WikiLeaks has done for exposing all of these just egregious crimes? I mean, just for fuck's sake, look at the collateral murder video and how could we not all just be in a huge debt of gratitude to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks for all of these egregious things that the U.S. empire has done and committed, with our dollars as well as other governments around the world. And again, he has already paid such a tremendous cost and continues to be held at that high security Belmarsh prison in the United Kingdom. So this is from Democracy Now! One of the main witnesses in Julian Assange's extradition case has admitted he made false claims against Assange in exchange for immunity from prosecution, a bombshell revelation that could have major impact on the WikiLeaks founder's fate. Assange faces up to 175 years in prison if brought to the US, where he was indicted for violation of the Espionage Act related to the publication of classified documents exposing US war crimes. According to a new article in the Icelandic newspaper Stundin, the convicted hacker Sigurdur Siggi Thordarson falsely claimed he was a prominent WikiLeaks representative instructed by Assange to carry out hacking attacks, but he was in fact only tangentially involved with the org. The article suggests that the U.S. Justice Department collaborated with Thordarson to generate the indictment for Assange that was submitted to British courts. Quote, "This is just the latest revelation to demonstrate why the U.S. case should be dropped," says Jennifer Robinson, the human rights attorney who's been advising Assange and WikiLeaks since 2010. The factual basis for this case has completely fallen apart. Completely agree. Not to mention that he was spied upon when he was in that Ecuadorian embassy, and just so many just fucked up things, just a whole miscarriage of justice, you could definitely call this whole legal proceedings that have happened against him. So there's the article and student. So again, this supposed key witness just was very loosely connected to WikiLeaks, and he fabricated, this relationship, these charges that these claims he made against Julian Assange to get a deal from the FBI. So he basically snitched to get himself a better deal and made up stuff against Julian Assange. Keep in mind that, this is talking about beyond this shocking revelation, a Spanish court exposed how the CIA assets from UC Global plotted to poison Assange, spied on his family and friends, lawyers, and likely burglarized their offices. As the case against Assange collapses, the tally for US crimes grows. And again, this is just a continuation from under Trump. There's no difference. There's no, let's drop the charges. This is bullshit. Julian Assange is a journalist. How is he being charged under the Espionage Act? He's actually a citizen of fucking Australia. I mean, Jesus Christ. And again, this is like the biggest press freedom case in the United States, and I don't know, maybe since Daniel Ellsberg and the Pentagon Papers, frankly, and that was what, in the 70s, right? And again, so if you're not on the side of Julian Assange on WikiLeaks of being able to be exposed or having the crimes of the US empire exposed, like what the fuck you're doing, you're definitely not on the left. If you're not for that, I mean, Jesus Christ. Let's see what kind of reaction the comments. One step forward to free Assange, completely agree. Corruption in the US justice system, I mean, not a justice system, US injustice system and its institutions is huge, but they cover it and deals under the table. Corruption in the entire world, my child. I mean, again, not surprising at all that this happened. Frankly, they were trying to do anything and everything they could, that being the US government, to charge Assange, to try to get him extradited to the United States. Again, not because he committed any fucking crime, and even if he did, how fucking ridiculous him being persecuted for exposing the crimes of the US empire instead of maybe going after the fucking people who murdered those people in Iraq in that collateral murder video, for example. I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus, look at that. The witness, who has a documented history with sociopathy, not to obviously pathologize people with that, and has received several convictions for sexual abuse of minors and wide-ranging financial fraud, made the mission newly published interview in Student, where he also confessed to having continued his crime spree whilst working with the Department of Justice and FBI and receiving a promise and immunity for persecution. So again, look at, doesn't exactly seem like perhaps the most trustworthy individual, and yet this was a key witness in the US government's case against Julian Assange. Jesus. So he volunteered to raise a limited amount of money for WikiLeaks in 2010, but was found to use the opportunity to embezzle more than 50,000 from the org. Jesus. They purport to show that Assange instructed Thorson to commit computer intrusion or hacking Iceland, which there doesn't seem to be any evidence. Again, this guy made this shit up to get a deal, to cut a fucking deal, to snitch. He made up shit. He snitched. It was fake. Didn't have anything real to snitch on. He made it up to get leniency. Jesus. Thorson now admits to Student, this is this publication, that Assange never asked him to hack or access phone records of MPs. Jesus. Look at this. So this is this fucking Barrettser hack, this UK judge. Barrettser sided with the arguments of the American legal team, including citing the specific samples from Iceland, which are now seriously called into question. Yes, indeed. Other misleading elements can be found in the indictment and later reflected in the magistrate's judgment. Then, yeah, how could this whole case not be fucking thrown out? This major key witness just fucking bullshit and made shit up against Assange to get leniency. And it was this Beretzer used that as, you know, justification to not grant Julian Assange his fucking freedom. Based on Thordison's now admitted lies. One is a reference to Icelandic baked docs. The magistrate court judgments reads, quote, "It is alleged that Mr. Assange, teenager, this is this Thordson, failed a joint attempt to decrypt files stolen from a NATO country one bank." God, like what? I'm sorry, man. If you can't, like, snitching on Julian Assange and just fucking making up shit against him after he's fucking facing 175 years in prison for exposing the crimes of the US empire. Fuck this person, man. It's fucking disgusting. I mean, good for them for coming forward now. I guess I'll give them credit for that. Jesus, this is a long fucking article. He also admits he stole docs from WikiLeaks staff from copying their hard drives. And then, it talked about in the beginning, he was supposed to be doing that fundraiser and he embezzled 50 fucking grand. Another hacker he's working with. They were trying to use things here in Iceland to spin a web, a Kaaba that would catch Julian Assange. Jesus. All right, this is a very long article, but again, the gist of it, this, key witness in Assange case admits he lied under the indictment to get fucking leniency. Now he's coming forward with that. So again, how could the UK courts not fucking throw this whole case out, say, fuck off, US empire, this is fucked up. Julian Assange is a journalist. His key evidence is based on lie and a bullshit. Only crime, again, he committed was that WikiLeaks exposed the crimes of the fucking US empire. I mean, I'm gonna take these reactions off, or the just because I have a internship meeting tomorrow. It might not be the most appropriate. There we go. We'll keep the eyebrows though. That looks kind of cool. But anyways, pretty interesting. And again, not super surprising that this whole fucking case against him is just based on just so much just bullshit and lies. And again, the US government still was and is willing to do anything to persecute Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, to use them as an example. You expose the crimes of the US empire, you engage in this adversarial journalism that goes against imperialism in the US empire. This is the steep price you're going to pay. Again, this is the most important case, press freedom case, in the United States since Daniel Ellsberg and the Pentagon Papers. And if you're not supporting of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, like, seriously, what the fuck you doing?